Minnesota. This is Schroetter-Thompson with Christielegal, divorce and child custody, paralegal and mediator. And it is time for the weekly divorce information session. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box or text them to me, or you could also message them to me on Facebook. And today I am with Tracy Fallon. She is a health and life coach for women who are in transition. And she's going to tell you way more about herself and then give you some information that women who are in the transition of divorce are going to want to know. And so let's just launch into a little bit of legal stuff that might, give you some questions. And then you can either pop a question in the chat box or schedule a free consultation with me. So the first thing that happens when folks divorce is you divide the assets. You need to first value those assets. So that is when I bring in other professionals. So we're going to have a financial advisor who will value the financial accounts if you folks so choose. And I can refer you to financial advisors if you don't have one. And then we are going to have a real estate agent or an appraiser value the home. And, if you're going to refinance, one of you is going to refinance the mortgage pretty quickly, within, 3 months, then it makes more sense to just have the appraisal done. If you're not, then it makes more sense to have a free market evaluation done by one of the many awesome real estate agents who I know. Then cars, we'll look at Kelley Blue Book. And if you have a lot of valuable items in your home, I even know someone who can value those items. And so then we are going to create a marital asset spreadsheet. And it's just, like any other spreadsheet, but it's going to be about the things that you folks own. Now, here's an important distinction. There are marital assets and non-marital assets. And non-marital assets are assets that were either accrued before the marriage or you received as a gift during the marriage. So, for instance, if Susie's parents gifted her $50,000 towards the house, then $50,000 of the equity in the house belongs to just Susie as a non-marital asset and is not divided during the divorce. Also, if Jim had $100,000 in his Roth IRA before the marriage, that $100,000 that's in the Roth IRA is his only. It's a non-marital asset, and it is not divided during the divorce process. So we put all the marital assets in the marital spreadsheet, and we start by putting what each person owns in his or her column, and then we total it up, and then we make it equal. We move pieces around like it's a puzzle. We talk about what's most important to each of you, and then fingers crossed, we figure it all out. The next thing that we do is we divide the debts. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter who created the debt. When you are married, you are both responsible for each other's debts. The debts are divided based on what is called ability to pay, and that means that whoever earns more pays more. You folks could also agree to, divide the debts in another way, but, ability to pay is what the law says. And then if you have children, then we're going to go on to what is the parenting time schedule? How are we going to be handling paying expenses like medical and dental insurance, field trips, all the stuff that kids need that is not like everyday thing, holidays, vacations. It's very important to make a really detailed custody and parenting time schedule now to keep you out of court in the future. So I'm going to ask you to reach agreements on a lot of things to save you guys, to improve your mental health in the future and to save you tons of money in the future. And there are a lot of like ancillary issues. And, one actually important ancillary issue might be spousal maintenance. Not many people get spousal maintenance anymore for a variety of reasons, including the laws. But that could apply in your situation. And we could talk about that if that is something that might apply. And so that is the legal stuff. And I am not seeing any questions for me in the chat or messenger. And let me just check my cell phone. And no questions texted. So let's move into you know what we're really here for, because when you are divorcing, you need more than just legal help. And so, Tracy, please take it away.
Thanks, Christie. So the coaching that I do, primarily for women, a lot of my audience has been women in midlife, but the thing about midlife is that there are so many changes that hit us seemingly all at the same time. Family dynamics change. Our kids don't need us as much, but our parents do. Our tolerance for our job and relationships starts to wane a little bit. And then our bodies are changing. But what this is it's a time of transition. It's a time, it feels like chaos. It feels like a crisis. But if you look at it in a different light, it's actually an opportunity. So what I do is I help women align who they've become with the life that they want to live. So I help them move from awareness to action. So during these times of chaos or crisis, a divorce, midlife, whatever that might be for you, you start to become aware of what's been missing recently from what you need, and you start to better understand what it is that you really want from life. And I help women take that, transform that insight into meaningful and lasting change. So that will change the way you respond, the way you make decisions, communicate, and move throughout, your day and through the world. So I lovingly call myself a midlife reinvention coach. So I want women in midlife or who are in a transition to reinvent themselves. So reinventing something is taking something that's been invented, you, and then breathe new life into it. Look at it just a little bit differently and take what feels like not so comfortable and probably very heavy and help you put that to use into a new version of yourself that you want to be moving forward.
Awesome. And how long have you been doing this work?
I have been doing this for about 6 years, full time this last year. I have a background in, I was in academia for many years as an academic advisor working with graduate students. And then before that, I was in fitness. So I was a personal trainer for about 7 years. So I've got
Oh,
a health and a life background, health coaching and life coaching background, and brought it all together specifically for, women, because for what I was going through, I want to be the resource for women that I wish had been there for me as I was going through my transition.
oh, yeah, that's a big reason that people start businesses, the
Hmm.
why.
Hmm.
And so I bet it feels really amazing that you just started in the last year, just doing your business full time.
Yeah, it's been exciting taking a chance on myself and, just see what happens if I really invest in myself and what makes my heart sing, which is helping women.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like you're walking the walk, because you're telling women like, what do you really want, or trying to help women, number one, figure out what do you really want, and then, let's take steps to, figure out what it is that you really want,
Hmm.
when they're in a big transition. And you did say you work with men as well,
Yeah.
so I shouldn't keep saying women, women, women. But you end up usually working with women. Um, and so, like, you're walking the walk because, like, you wanted to do this, and now you're like, I'm full force doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you have like any just kind of general tips for, how, as a health and life coach, how women can better handle being in the divorce process?
Oh, I'm sure that's different for everyone, but I think my my biggest piece of probably advice or way to look at this is while you can everything feels really heavy and really you can't really find the good in things because you're so upset or there's so much negativity and you feel like you're just sitting in it and it's all you can see. And I think my biggest piece of advice would be to make sure that you're also finding the good. And while the marriage may have ended and the marriage may have had bad things in it, turning that just a little bit to see the good, the new strengths that you have acquired because of this situation, how you have evolved and changed, and seeing that as a good. And like I said, with midlife, you can see it as a crisis, but it's actually an opportunity. And while everything looks a little grim right now, you can take a look at it from a different angle.
Yeah, that's really important to remember to, you know, look for the good in things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, what strengths have you gained? That's definitely a good thing. I have not been divorced, but my late husband, Carl, passed in 2009, when he was only 39 and I was 36. And it's very difficult to find good in that, especially because a very valuable human being is no longer here. Um, but I was like, a year later or so, I was like, okay, well, let's see, what do I know now that I didn't know then?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have become more social. Um, I was really pretty fairly homebody-ish. And like, I know how to do a few more like home care things. And I know how to handle more problems on my own because
Mm-hmm.
I have to. And so and really interestingly, my late husband had started a business before he passed, and it didn't go well, but he was definitely the entrepreneur in our relationship. And then, like 3 years after he passes, I'm starting a business. And so it's like, oh, I guess I'm an entrepreneur too.
Yeah. You gave yourself the chance to appreciate what you learned from him and who you've become thanks to having him in your life. And the same with anyone going through a divorce. You were someone, you felt like you had this connection and you are separated from it. But then appreciating who you are standing alone and then finding a way to move forward from that. So that's a beautiful story, Christy. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, yeah. And actually, I hadn't thought about like that. Yeah, like I am part of who I am today is because of his entrepreneurial experience until I just started talking. Because I was only slightly involved in his business,
Yeah.
just because I'm a better organizer. And and so do you have any advice for people like after the divorce is over, um as a health and life coach, like what should they be either thinking about or doing that would be, really good for them?
I think the one thing that comes to mind is taking a look at the one of the things I like to help people with and coach them on are their habits and their routines. So after a divorce is final and you're settling back into a new version of your life, is to take a look at the habits and the routines, what worked and what didn't work, and where you get to, sometimes have to, but where you get to make some changes to those for especially with your health. Maybe your former spouse drank too much and you did too, but don't want to anymore. So there are little shifts that you can make in the way that you're living um, as you step into a new version.
Yeah. So is that true that I've heard the phrase, you're a product of, the 10 people who you spend the most time with. Like, is that kind of along the lines of what you're saying?
Yeah, yep. You get to shift that a little bit and decide now who you want to, these new people that you're going to be hanging around with, because most likely in a divorce, some friends and some friend groups may have just shifted and or completely been taken away or changed. Now, who would you like to be with, and who would you like to be around and be more like?
Yeah. Awesome. And there aren't any questions in any of the various places. And so if you would like a free consultation with either of us, I'm going to put the information in with the video shortly. And please reach out to us. We would love to see if we can help you. And I hope that everyone in Minnesota has their AC working and they're in an AC building, or else they're in the beach or in a pool, because it's going to be a hot week. And warning about heat and tempers, it makes people's tempers go up. So, like, do your best to not let the heat make your temper go up, and yeah, look into some ways to make that happen. So this is Christie-Thompson with Christielegal, and I hope that everyone in Minnesota has a great rest of this very, very hot day.
Thanks.